is bad. Never other people's business and what they complaining. Things are hard. Other people who are harder than hard. Oh, how I wish people's life would just switch around from poor to being rich and rich to being poor. Cause most of them never know how life stinks down below. They never take time up to see how it feels to be on the breadline. Lord, if I could, I want to help somebody. I don't want any help for myself, but Lord, that's my request. Help me to help somebody. I want to help the poor and the needy. I want to protect the weak from the strong. Lord, oh Lord, I want to help somebody. I cannot afford to be selfish, Lord. That's my request, please.
Good morning, listeners. Welcome to Beyond the Badge on Real FM. I'm your host, Woman Corporal 5 Mitchell, representing the Community Relation Department, Western Division. First and foremost, we give thanks to our Lord Jesus Christ for health and for strength to be with you today. A heartfelt thank you to the staff of Real FM for this golden opportunity each week to inform you on topics that matter. To our faithful listeners, you are important to us. And because of you, we do this weekly to keep you informed and updated on what you must know. My guest today is Corporal 407 Dorset. It's his first time on the platform, so let's warmly welcome him and allow him a moment to introduce himself and share a bit about his role in his division. Corporal?
All right, good morning, listeners. Good morning to the listening public. All right, as said earlier, my name is Marlon Dorset. I'm a corporal of police attached to the fire department, Gulf Police Station. All right, so I'm very grateful to be here this morning to share in the dissemination of information as it relates to fire and safety to the general public.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Fire is a powerful force. It can be a tool or a threat. It warms, cooks, power machines, but it also destroys lives. Yes?
Yeah.
Homes, forests, communities. Today's program delve into the fire and fire safety because understanding fire is key to controlling and surviving it. Knowing the basic of fire helps us prevent it, Corporal Dorset.
Sure.
What is fire?
All right, so a simple definition for fire, as used previously, was a chemical reaction of burning material in the presence of heat,
Yes.
oxygen, and fuel. All right. However, we have since elevated or developed a more scientific definition for fire. So it states here, a process or instant of combustion, right, in which a fuel is ignited and combined with oxygen, give off light, heat, flame, and smoke. Right? So if I should go on to expound a little bit on that, right? A state or a process of combustion. So that tells you oftentimes the fire would start small, right? And grows, right? And combine with the fuel. And when we speak of fuel in fire terms, we speak of the material that can burn. Right. So we're talking about wood, paper, plastic, cloth, and so on. All right? Combine with the fuel, ignite and give off light, heat, flame, and smoke.
And smoke. Right.
Yeah.
All right. So most fires, as you said, start small.
Most times it starts small.
It's how we handle them that makes the difference.
The difference, exactly.
Right. So what causes most fires in homes?
Well, oftentimes Persons fire caused in homes by gross negligence, oftentimes. All right? Persons cooking, leaving the pot unattended and going away.
Right.
All right? That is a major factor as it relates to fire. Other cause is faulty appliances.
Right.
Persons just do tend to want to get away from the appliances that they have. Fans, refrigerators, microwaves, those things. All right. So we as we on this, I want to ask persons that if you have a piece of appliances that might be not working properly, you should get well, I should say a assigned electrician, a certified electrician, I should say, to check your appliances.
Check your-
Oftentimes, we just tend to get somebody to just come and do a little thing there, right? Which could result in that piece of appliances, causing your house to be destroyed,
That's right.
right? We often have the issue of persons using candles. Persons still use a lot of candles. You understand? And they don't tend to put the candle on something, I don't want to use the word solid, but that not easily burn, And when that candle melt down, you could catch whatever they have it on.
All right.
All right?
All right. Well said. Understanding fire behaviors help first responders and citizens alike. What is a fire triangle?
All right. The fire triangle is designed to help persons to understand the elements that is present for a fire to start. So in order for a fire to start, there must be 3 elements present. All right? And the 3 elements here, we're talking about the fuel. All right? As I said earlier, we're talking about the material that can burn. All right? Then you must have, oxygen, of course. Just how individual persons need oxygen to live, just so the fire needs oxygen for it to survive. All right? And then you must have a heat source. That is something to start the fire. So we're talking about like matches, lighters, electrically energized appliances, and so on.
Okay.
All right? So 3 elements that must be present for a fire to start. Oxygen, fuel, and a heat source.
And a heat source.
Yeah.
All right. Cooking fires top the list in many regions, right? How can we prevent kitchen fires?
Right. So oftentimes people engage, every day you cook and so on. Right? And in cooking you would have spillage and so on. So you have fats and oil and grease and so on going into your stove. And with the prolonged cooking every day, year after year, day after day, that could cause the buildup of the fats and oil could cause your stove to ignite. Right? And as I said earlier, leaving pots unattended while on fire. Person tend to leave the pot and go and take a little rest.
Yeah.
Oftentimes that could cause kitchen fires. All right? Based on where person's stove have been positioned, you have curtains right over the stove. Now, when the wind blow, that curtain could move, come right on your stove,
Right.
and cut a fire. All right? So these are 3 noted points that can cause kitchen fires.
Right.
Yeah?
So we understand that not all fires are the same.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so what are the types of fires?
All right, so we have, domestic fires. All right, so we're talking about dwelling house fires, fires involving your home.
Right.
All right, we have business house fires. All right, that is fires that take place in the business circle.
Right.
So if you have a shop, a store, yeah, that is another type of fire. Right? Fire involving electrical appliances. Once it is electrically energized, right? So this is electrical fires. That is another type of fire. Right? Now, if I should go on to say a little bit, fire are classified based on the type of material or the place that burn. Right? So we have wildland fires. Yeah? This is where a fire just run through the forest. We call it bush fires. Locally call it bush fires. Or in the broader sense, it's wildland fires. We also have rubbish fire. Right? Now, it kind of, some people kind of have difficulties in differentiating between bushfire and rubbish fire. Now, once the bush are not cut, gather up and so on. Once it's in that way, we categorize it as rubbish fire. But if the fire just run through the normal forest, we say that is bushfires. And then we have those that don't fall in no category. We call it other. So you have things like bamboo stool, tree,
Right.
all this fall under other.
Okay.
Yeah, because oftentimes this thing happen as well. If you were to have a fire in your house, yeah, let's say the stove catch or your bed catch. However, the structure of the house not damaged. Would you call it a house fire? No.
Okay.
You understand? That is where order come in. So you have an order, but you state what is the order. So you say, all right, order one bed and mattress.
Right.
Understand? Or your stove, your fridge.
Fridge.
Yeah. Because the structure of the house is not damaged. So you don't want to say this is a dwelling house fire. Understand? It's only the stove or the bed. Right? So these are the different types of fire that we have.
All right. Very informative, Corporal
Yeah.
Bassett. Yes. Fire spread quickly and unpredictably. How fast can a fire spread?
Fire can spread very rapid. It's all based on the fuel load that is present, whether in the bush or in a building, based on the amount of material that can burn. Now, if you have a room where you have only one table, then that fire would confine here, basically. But if you have it full with box and things that can be easily ignited, that fire would grow very fast. So putting a time frame might not be the appropriate thing to do. It's all based on the amount of fuel in that room or in the bush, the land, whatever.
None. Okay. All right. So, children, we know that they are vulnerable. What fire risks exist for children?
We have had a record of children being burnt
Yes.
in house by fire,
Yes.
and some of this occurs as a result of children being left home unattended. There is something about fire that just fascinates children. They want to see it, they want to do it themselves. Right? So children being left home unattended is one of the major factors. You understand? So we want to urge the listening public, parents, guardians, whenever they're leaving home, you try as much as possible to have someone overlooking your children or the children that is in your care. Right? Now, if you may not have another adult to overlook them, speaking to them and taking away some of the heat source. So we're talking about the matches, the lighters, and so on. And the thing about it, educating them is very important. You can't run away from educating them.
That's
You
right.
understand? Because a lot of times they would want to know. Children know what is asked. When you tell them don't do this, they want to know why not to do it. You understand?
So it's best you
So it's
explain.
best you explain to them, educate them on the dangers of fires and so.
Education. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Early detections save lives. Why are smoke alarms important? I saw you were doing some checks yesterday, and I
Yeah.
thought it was best.
Smoke alarm is very important, and persons just tend to think smoke alarm is only for business and so on. Your home as well, because the smoke alarm is for early warning, right? Now that alarm, once installed, once that temperature build up in the house or in the business place, it will go off, alerting you that something is wrong.
When you say
Yeah.
something, is it fire or anything?
Well, the heat, right? So once it person may have experience of something you're cooking, and based on where the alarm is, just the build up of the smoke, like if you're stewing and so on, it will
All
trigger the alarm, right? And that is the use of the alarm to make you know for early warning, early detection
right.
that there is something wrong.
Right.
So after the alarm go off, the onus is on you, the owner, the house owner or the business owner, to check and ensure that something is wrong. Oftentimes we get called in business places where the alarm go off or the detector go off. All right? And some of the detectors are so sensitive that once they get that little element of smoke, whether it's a freshener and this kind of thing, and them, go trigger it off.
Okay.
Oftentimes we get
That's
called
all.
in the ministry building, the alarm go off. Everybody would exit the building. Firemen coming, go and check. Yeah, you do a sweep of the building and you would detect what caused the alarm to go off. All right? So your extinguisher is for early warning that something is wrong.
All right. So when you notice that smoke is taking place, what you have to do, evacuate and call fire, or you can handle it by yourself.
Well, it is important to ensure that you call the fire department.
Right.
Right? You can evacuate the building, call the fire department, informing them of the fire. Now, based on the size of the fire, you as an individual and you have the right fire suppression equipments, you think you can start suppressing the fire? You think you can handle it?
Okay.
We think that you go ahead. You understand? Because the little that you can do could at least quell the situation before the firemen reach.
Right.
All right. So it's not wrong for persons to at least attempt, but that is if you're sure you can handle it. All right. Otherwise, we tell people evacuate the building, inform the authorities. All right. That is why we implore on business places to have emergency plan in place. All right. Now, once that alarm go off, persons know the role and function. All right. You evacuate. You have a muster area, so you can account for everybody while the firemen come and do the bits.
Right. Very well said. We know that training save lives. What is a fire drill?
Right. A fire drill is basically a simulation of what the real things would be. Right? So as firemen, we do drill every day. We know what we have to go on the scene. However, we always want to ensure that persons are on top of the game, if I should say. You understand?
Right.
So we everybody would go out there and carry out their role and function as it relates to, let's say, deploying hose for a fire or this kind of thing. Right? So persons would actually do it in a mock trial, assimilating what the real thing would be.
Okay.
Right? Now this tends to help person to sharpen the skills, how they would function when that emergency coming. Because oftentimes what happens when the real emergency come, persons tend to panic. You understand? They don't know where the key is, they don't know what to touch. You understand? But however, if you're doing it every day, you tend to kind of feel comfortable and know what to do, even in a real pressure situation. Right? So a drill is what would help you to be in that in that to perform professionally once you're there.
Right. Thanks for sharing that as well. We know that electrical safety is vital. Yes? How do faulty electricals cause fire?
Yeah. And that is a major concern.
Yeah.
Faulty appliances cause a lot of fire. And this is a major concern for the department. Right? Because persons tend to have the let's say the fans. The fan are not working. Some of them have to kickstart it. You know, you hold the thing, the blade, and kickstart it for it to start.
Right.
You know? Now, because it is not working properly at some point in time during the night, or whether you're not in or what, it may stop. Now remember, current is still flowing, right? Through that fan or that fridge or that radio. Understand? Current is heat. The electricity, I should say, is heat. You understand? So that just being there and not working, after a time, the heat would build up so much where it will just ignite. Spontaneous ignition, we call it. Yeah? And that can cause fires in homes. Right? And it's not only fans, you know, we have AC units as well. You know? Now, once them things are not working properly, it is a hazard in your workplace or your home. Right? So that
As long as it is not working properly.
once it's not working properly, yeah. Now, if your thing is working properly, then you don't have a problem.
All right.
Right? But once you observe that you have a problem with it, we ask you to get that assigned electrician. You know, what is the word? Certified electrician, right? Because oftentimes people tend to just pick up somebody who know a little thing, or you don't want to promote that.
True.
You want to promote persons getting a certified electrician
That's right.
to check the thing, their piece of equipment, appliance.
And that's a good piece of advice
Yeah,
to our listeners.
yeah.
Certified electrician.
Certified electrician.
Yes. Tell me about our cell phones. You know, from time to time, you see we will plug on that and go and rest. Our cell phone and our gadget that we use
Yeah.
on a daily
Well,
basis. Is it okay
have-
to do that, or is it a concern?
Well, you see, once those things have been plugged on and left unattended, you never know what could happen.
That's right.
Right? Because I have experience with the cell phone. I left it charging. I went out the road and come back. And when I come, the whole charger to the phone was burnt. You understand? So these things can happen anytime. You know, but oftentimes we do it. We plug them on, we leave them unattended and go. But these are hazards. Very dangerous for our well-being and for our homes. Right? So if persons, let's say you don't have the time, you won't be around, we'd advise you to do it when you're there.
Of course.
You know,
That's better.
it's better. You know, at the end of the day, prevention are much better than having to build a house twice in your life.
True.
Right? Yeah.
Fire knows no boundaries. Can wildlife fire occur in Grenada?
Wildland fire happen every year. And now is the real time for wildland fire. So we're talking about the dry season.
Right.
Right? And this time is a real busy time for the fire department. Every day, see the fire truck up and down. Right? And all these are caused as a result of persons burning. Yeah? Farmers. Some people just burn for no reason. You understand? So this is a major concern for the department. And yes, wildland fires can happen in Grenada. And it does happen. Just last year we had that big fire in the Bolio Monkuma area. Almost that whole area they burned. Right? And that was as a result of indiscriminate burning. as we say. You know, some persons, we have a culture in Grenada where people feel they just must burn.
Must burn. Yeah.
You know, and that shouldn't be. Oftentimes, based on what you cut, you could pile it up there. In a year or two, you have good compost for your crops. But person don't tend to want to do that. They want to get rid of everything.
That's right.
Yeah, so they resort to burning, and with the burning now, they don't stay and
Yes.
and monitor the fire.
That's a fair.
Once it burn down, they think that is enough, and they go. Now, during this time of the year, you realize the wind are very high.
True.
Yeah, and this can cause fire to spread. Right now, one little ember, that little spark, as we say, go over, fall in a right area where there is good fuel. Yeah,
Right.
and a fire could start one time. Now they will say they don't know how that fire start. Yeah, but embers cause a lot of fire. Right. So once you're burning, and I say once you're burning with the notion that you follow the protocol. Now, once persons intend to burn, they should follow the right procedure. And if you permit me to explain what the procedure is, right? Now, if you're burning for agriculture purpose, the last step that you go to the ministry, apply to the Ministry of Agriculture for a license to do so. That's once it is for agriculture purpose. No police officer, nobody have the right to give anybody permission to burn. Once it is for agriculture purpose, you apply to the ministry, you walk in, tell them this is your intention, this is what you want to do, and them would grant you or refuse you that license.
Right.
Right? That is one aspect. Now, if you're burning, like let's say you want to get rid of little things around the house, what the law states is that you inform your neighbors.
You must inform.
You must inform your neighbors. That's what the law states. That is under the Use of Fire Act. Right? Inform your neighbors. And the law also speaks of giving notice. Yeah? So despite you want to burn, the law speaks of giving notice. So you give notice prior to you burning. So we don't want you to go and tell your neighbor, watch now, I'm going to burn something they know. You
Not
give them
so.
prior notice, days in advance.
Days in advance.
Persons have a lot of respiratory problem.
Yes.
Yeah? And so on nowadays, health issues,
True.
you know. And smoke is a major concern when you have respiratory problem.
Exactly.
Right? So you want to give that person the chance to be away when you intend to do that burning. So if John Jones intend to burn, you come and you tell Miss Charles, I intend to do some burning Saturday. So Miss Charles know that Saturday I was supposed to do some washing, but I could do it 2 days instead. So Saturday when Saturdays come, she could go in town and do what she have to do.
Yeah, right.
You know, to be away to give him his chance to burn.
Sure.
Right? Yeah, basically.
Very important.
Yeah,
information
very
here.
important.
Yes. We know that fire safety starts at home. What are key fire safety items every home must have?
Right. We always implore on persons to have fire suppression equipment at home. Right? So we're talking about the same detectors or even a fire extinguisher. Okay? Now, in the event a fire were to occur, you can use your extinguisher to extinguish a fire. Understand? Now, we also employ on homeowners or business owners to have a emergency plan.
Emergency plan.
Emergency plan. Right? Just in the event that you have a fire or some emergency. Right? Persons in the home know exactly what they ought to do.
Right.
Right? So apart from reporting the fire, right, one personal safety is first.
That's right.
So you would want to evacuate.
Right.
Right? But in evacuating, you want to know definitely that everyone is out of the building. Right? So evacuation plan is very important. Having fire suppression equipment also very important.
Exactly. So we are speaking about now evacuation plans, and we know that it's critical. All right. What should a home fire escape plan include?
A home fire escape plan. Right. So that is where your evacuation coming.
Right.
Right. Your escape plan must entails your evacuation plan.
Right.
Right. Each person or each employee should know what their role and function is. Right. So when that, let's say, the fire is being observed, right? Touch the alarm
Okay.
to notify everybody. Let's say it's a business place,
Business split. Right.
right? You notify everyone because you might have persons in different parts of the building, right? So you notify everyone. Now, in doing that, they would know exactly where the muster area is, exits in your home
Right.
or in the building,
In the building.
right? Emergency exit doors and so on. They would know everything. So they would get out and get to that muster area. So you would have when you gather, the person in charge would know that definitely everyone is accounted for.
Right.
Or you could let the firemen know on their arrival that two persons is missing. Somebody might be, let's say, in a basement or in the toilet at the time and they don't hear. Right? So you know definitely in doing that rescue, you're looking for two or three persons.
So that count is important.
So that count is very important. That is why you've got to have a muster area. So everybody know that once we get out of the building, this is the area where we go in and gather. So we can have a count to ensure that everyone is safe,
Right.
or two persons is missing, one person is missing. Right? So evacuation plan is very important in business or even your home. You might have 3, 4 children. You make them know what you know. Once we have a fire, this is what we're doing. This is where we're going. We're going by the neighbor house next door. You know, a safe area where person can be accounted for.
Well said, Corporal Dossett. Yes. Prevention is always better than response.
Always.
How can schools practice fire safety?
Right. So I think this is a major point in the sense that the children, when you get to the children, they would help you to spread the safety procedures or plan more than the adult. I believe that.
Yes.
Yeah, dealing with the children, they would help you to disseminate the information far and wide. Right? So having programs with the children, education is very important. That is one of the driving force in schools, safety, children being safe. Educating them as to what to do
Yes.
in the event of a fire. Now, parents might just tend to take away the matches or take away the lighters from the children, right? But you taking it away and not telling them the dangers of what the lighter or the matches can do, it still have them in a kind of way, right? So even if you take it away, you need to educate them as to the danger of the lighter and the matches,
That's right.
right? And if I should go on to say, this is one of the objective of the department, right?
Well.
You have programs in schools,
Yes.
right? Different groups. You could do little fire prevention, just give tips,
That's right.
to them as to what are the do's, what are the don'ts, what they should do, what they shouldn't do in the event of a fire, or educating them on fire safety, right? So education is very, very important.
And I agree with
Yeah.
you. We know that fire leaves lasting scars. What are some long-term effects of fire on families?
Right. So persons oftentimes have fire at their home, right? And this can cause person to be traumatized.
True.
It's like they have a fire home, and after that fire, they don't tend to catch yourself. You know, it's always done back on them. Because I remember when he had a fire home, year after the fire, not by me, but in my area, my son was talking about it, little child. Every time he passed by the area up there, he would speak of the lady house that burned. You understand? So that can cause lasting effect on fire. Now, financially, now how much of us may be able to build a house twice in our lifetime? That causes a major strain on us.
That's right.
You understand? Financial wise. Yeah. And you know, you see some family break up as a result of that. Let's say there's somewhere they've been housed. Everybody mightn't be steady, so one brother may have to go there, sister may have to go there, you know? And then so fire can have lasting effects on persons. Right? So we always try to employ on persons to safeguard your home. Do everything in your power to safeguard your home. Right? Once you're cooking, you monitor your cooking.
Right.
Yeah. And cleaning your appliances is very important as well, especially your stove. Remember, you're cooking every day.
Every day, yes.
You boil up thing for long, you know. So let's say twice a year you give your stove a nice clean out. You know, bring in the technician, like clean it out for you. You know, that would not hurt. At the end of the day, it may cost you a little bit of money. However, it is much cheaper than building a house.
Right.
All right? The faulty appliances. Throw it out, man. Buy another fan. You know, some people will say, well, you know, like yesterday we doing the extinguisher person say asking the firemen if can you donate one to me? Yeah, they want us to donate a fire extinguisher to them.
All right.
You know? And then, but you know, it wouldn't hurt you to buy a new one.
And as you, yeah.
You understand? At the end of the day, it costs much less than having to build later on.
That's true. Correct.
All right?
So we know fire extinguishers are the first defense.
First line of defense.
Yes. So how do you use a fire extinguisher? Because many people said to us that they just have it there. They don't
know how to use it. Yeah. Actually, a fire extinguisher is very easy to use, right? And we have a mnemonic which we use to explain how to, I like to use the word effectively use an extinguisher. Anybody could take an extinguisher and just spray it,
True.
but they get no result from it. But using it effectively is what would give you your count. Richard? So we have a mnemonic called PETAS. In the past, it used to be PASS,
Pass. Yes.
right? PASS. However, we have evolved. Right? So we add T to pass. So it's PETAS now.
Peters.
Yeah. P meaning you pull the pin. Right? Now the pin is situated between the two levers on the handle. You pull that pin. Oftentimes you would have a strap there to keep it safe. So even in case you're handling the extinguisher, you won't fall off. Once you give it a good pull, you would just bust away. All right? So you pull the pin. P. T. You get a quick test. Right? You never want to go on the battlefield and your gun not working.
True.
You want to ensure that your gun is in top shape. Right? So you get a quick test to ensure that it is working. Right? Then you aim. Right? And that is where the important part come in. Right? So you're ready to fight that fire now. You aim. And when you aim at the base of the fire, that is where the fuel is. Right? So wherever that fire is, whether it's in wherever, you aim at the actual material that is burning. Right? And you squeeze. Right? That lever on top there presses the release valve that disperses the chemical inside the extinguisher. Right? And then you sweep side to side, up to down, as based on how your fire might be. Right? If I should go on a little, right? Now there is different types of extinguisher.
Okay.
right? Person don't realize. There is different types of extinguisher, which can be used on the different types or classes of fire. Yeah? So you have a carbon dioxide extinguisher, a CO2, as we normally say. This one is mainly a gas. Right? We ask persons to use, or it is best suited to use on electrical fires. That is where, once anything water-based, you don't want to mix with electricity. Water and electricity don't mix. Right? So a carbon dioxide extinguisher is best suited for this type of fire. Now you have powder. That is the one everybody know. Dry powder, ABC powder, dry chemical is the same thing. Powder extinguisher. Right? Now the ABC meaning it can be used on the class A, class B, class C fires. I know I don't explain what class A is. Right? Now fire classified based on the type of material that is burning. Right? So you have class A, you have things like ordinary combustibles, wood, paper, plastic wraps. Class B would be things like flammable liquids. So you're talking about gasoline, diesel, paint, tinners, these sort of things. Right. Class C is electrical. Yeah? D are flammable metals, zinc, potassium, magnesium, and so on. And you have class K, which is cooking media. So you have things like fats and oil and grease. Right? This is class K. Now for class A fires, right? Water is the best or the cheapest extinguisher to use. Everything we do nowadays, cost must come in. Yeah? Everybody budgeting.
That's true.
Right? So you may not want to take a powder extinguisher to use on class A fire when water can do the job easy.
All right.
Right? Now you have class B fires, flammable liquids and gas. You're looking at those things are highly flammable. You want to get something to quench that easy. Now the raw water might take a while. You may do it, but it will take a while. So you have things like foam extinguisher, which will give you a quick suffocation, a quicker extinguishment of the fire. Right? Now, as I said earlier, class C fires, you're talking about electrical fires. Anything electrically energized is like your meter base, catch a fire, all that fall under electrical fires. Your carbon dioxide extinguisher is best suited. You understand? Now, the ABC powder can be used on A, B, and C fires. See, so when we go out there to do sensitization and recommend extinguishers for persons, we try to recommend the ABC powder because you can use it almost multi-purpose. You understand? Yeah. Very important. Yeah?
Very, very important.
Very important.
Yes. So we know fire is not just flames. I believe we have time for probably 2 more questions. Yeah?
Yeah.
Fire is not just flames, it's smoke too. What makes smoke dangerous?
Yeah. And that again is a major concern. Everybody have health issues nowadays.
Yeah.
Right? Now, once, just let's say normal, ordinary combustibles burning, you're talking about people and so on. People, once the smoke hit them, they tend to run, right? Because of health issues and so on. And adding to that, based on the material that is burning, right? It could give off a lot of toxic smoke which could get into your system. Right? Now you have based on the material, as I said, based on let's say the EC units and so on, they say there is a gas that is being produced when those sort of things burn. You don't see it, you don't taste it, you don't smell it. However, when it gets into your system, very dangerous for you. Right? You come down with health issues, your breathing and so on. Because we did some training with some guys from the US, and it's also said to us that with the electrical vehicles coming in now, the battery, those things are very, very important very important, very dangerous for our health. Right? So we want to
Encourage.
employ on persons. Once you have fires, as one of the fire rules state, that if you don't know what is burning, it is best that you stay away. Right? Because if you do not know what is burning, you do not know how to attack the fire.
Yeah.
Right? And the material, the smoke that is being given off can be very toxic and dangerous for your health.
True.
Right? Yeah.
And my final question to you, Corporal Dorset, how can the public support fire officers?
Yeah, that is a that is a nice one, you know. When we go out to let me rephrase that. One of our outreach programs, right? One aspect of our outreach program is to have volunteers supporting the firemen, right? So you're interested in being a volunteer?
Right.
You come in, make us know. We do a screening process, make sure you have good character and so on, right? And we would train you, right? As we say, drills. We do drills, so you know what you can do, how you can assist us, right? So this is one aspect. Volunteer programs. This is one where the public can assist the police as it relates to outreach programs and so on.
So, any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, my what I want to employ on persons is we are now in the dry season,
Yes.
right? This is a very rough time for the police or for the fire department, right? Persons tend to engage in a lot of burning. Now we see persons are preparing their lands for farming or for planting next couple of months, right? And they intend to do a lot of burning, right? What we want to employ on persons is to follow the right procedure. Yeah? Follow the right procedure. And oftentimes, even when persons get their license, what they tend to do is, let's say you have a license, they will get somebody else to work for them. Right? Now, that lady who have the license, she might be able to do the burning herself. But she get somebody to do the burning. But she don't inform them as to what the license entails, how they should go about burning. Now, when you get that license, the license tell you exactly how you should go about burning. So it tell you should do small heaps,
Right.
clean the area properly. You have a quantity of water. You burn between a 7 and 5. You know. Now, once you follow that the specification of the license, there is hardly any way a fire will get out of control. So if you have to make 5 heaps, you make 5 heaps, you burn one at a time.
Right.
Now, when that one burn down, you burn the next one. So you keep it manageable. You understand? So I want to employ on persons as we go into the dry season now. Yeah? Get their license if they intend to burn. Right? Now, it have a no burn policy, but I don't think that is being implemented yet. You know? But once it is implemented, it would come over the news, people would know. All right? So follow the procedures when they intend to do burn.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
Thanks.
Listeners, thank you, Corporal Dorset, for joining us and sharing your knowledge. I mean, it was very, very informative.
Yeah.
And to
thanks.
our listeners and Real FM staff, we truly appreciate you. All right. So, officers, we encourage you, especially our fire personnel. Your courage and dedication do not go unnoticed. Keep pressing forward. You are heroes in uniform. Right? Corporal Dorset.
Thank you very much, Ms.
Yes.
Mitchell.
So again, you're welcome. And today we have, I believe, the final day of Intercall. Just a gentle reminder to all schools participating in Intercall. We would like you to stay alert, stay safe, and represent your school with pride and discipline.
Yeah.
right? Fire is powerful. We want everyone to respect it, understand, and prepare for it. Until then, same place, same time next week. Take good care and be safe.
Yeah. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right.